Hey, what's up, guys? Sam here, and I'll be doing the premium video for Friday, May 16th, 2025. So, another week is in the books, and quite a lively one. Not only did you get a gap up to start the week with the tariff delay, but you closed at the pretty much the absolute highs of the week on a very strong candle. So, very much continuation of what we've looked at over these past couple of Friday videos. It feels like for the last maybe 4 Friday videos, it's been kind of the same thing. Where just looking for any kind of changes to the situation and really not seeing any. Right? It's just like clockwork. Right? This market is moving right along, and there's not going to be really any changes to the indicators. Even this week, really, as far as I can tell. There are some really large improvements in some of the sectors. You've had massive improvements in industrials and financials, in tech, communications, utilities, even staples to some degree have improved tremendously. So you have broad-based participation as well. Of course, most of this has been led by the mags, but really remarkable turnaround and kind of at least so far, kind of a V-shaped bottom that seems like it wants the new all-time high. So let's go through the index here to start, and then we'll kind of check around the different parts of the market. We'll look at the peripheral parts of the market like we usually do. Of course, I think right now, when you have weeks that look like this, and basically a week when you look inside of it, there was almost really no meaningful pullbacks at all during this entire week. So I think everybody's kind of bullish, I would imagine, at this point. And so in these videos, because that's the obvious position, I always just look to see if there's anything that might be kind of hiding somewhere that would indicate some issues. So let's jump into the indexes, and we'll find out if we see anything here as we go along. So on the weekly chart, it still remains a neutral chart. If you kind of look at it, basically it really hasn't gone anywhere since October, right? You're kind of right back to where you were last year in October. This has not resolved itself quite just yet, but basically it is a no trend right now because, again, you're not really going anywhere despite the fact that you've gone off the lows pretty strongly. Continue to develop your arrows here. You've had those now for many weeks. On the daily chart, same thing, right? More arrows there. Similar situation here. You cross negatively here. That led well before the drop. And you don't have the crossover yet. The way that this works is when you don't have the crossover there, but both lines are above the middle, the label is going to tell you that you have no trend. When you have no trend, then it's very simple. You just look at the lower indicator for direction. And when it says no trend, you just look at the arrows to see what direction you should be trading in. And for now, the arrows are certainly printing to the upside. Not even really like this matters all that much, but I'll just point out a couple of things. One, you're now 3 ATR to the upside. This is 3 ATR right there. That's what those dash lines are. And the green line has reached the top here. Now, of course, in a strong market, it could just stay at the top for a long time, just like that, or even more pronounced, kind of like that. So that unto itself is not a signal, but it is just something. If I'm being super nitpicky about it, this is something that I would point out, is that that's reached there and that you are 3 ATR up here. How much does that matter? I don't think it matters all that much. We'll see come next week how much it matters, but really what you have here is a market where a lot of folks are mispositioned, right? I think a lot of positions got thrown overboard on the dump, and then the rally up has been so fast and furious that it hasn't really given a lot of folks opportunity to get back in. And then, of course, the higher that it goes, human nature dictates that the more FOMO people will feel, and eventually they just start kind of throwing caution to the wind. Now, you do want to be careful in that environment, right? Because you want to be careful when folks start throwing caution to the wind, because that's when markets are more prone to slippage. But at least for now, I don't really see any issues there. Here on the Qs, kind of the same story, so I don't need to rehash all of it, right? You can see it for yourself and just compare it to what we just looked at there on the SPY. The weekly chart's still just a neutral chart. Again, you're just kind of right back to where you were last year. So huge, huge bounce here, obviously on the Qs, massive bounce. Looks like 20% at this point, close to it. But you're basically just back to where you were last year. So of course, this is not going to register as trend quite just yet. What do we do when we don't have trend? We look at the lower indicator. The lower indicator has been firmly positioned to the upside for a number of weeks, so we don't have to make any changes there. This again is 3 ATR, but you can see that it's very sticky, right? It's not like it's getting to 3 ATR and giving up. Looks like it actually continues to make higher closes, including today. So very sticky price action, despite the fact that it is by most metrics extended. You do have a crossover here, and again, it says no trend. So what do? We just rely on the lower indicator, and the lower indicator has been giving arrows now for basically going on a month. So that all looked pretty good. Let's speed it up. I always spend more time on the SPY and the QQQ than I do the rest. I just really don't care that much about the IWM, to be honest. So IWM here, obviously lagging considerably. Same condition as the rest, though. The weekly chart's weaker, and of course the bounce here has been significantly less good. But this is why I usually just try to focus on SPY and QQQ, because the IWM it's kind of a, you have to pick your spots on IWM. I don't find it to be as consistent as the others, so I just really don't ever focus on it. Let's look at the Dow real quick. Same thing with the Dow. I rarely ever focus on the Dow. Considering that UNH, which used to be the biggest Dow component, not so much anymore, I suppose, got cut in more than half this month, and the Dow is still participating, is remarkable, right? So that is extraordinarily strong. If we look here at the Dow, it's not as extended as the others, and it has gotten over this resistance band from about 18 to 23. There was a lot of resistance there, and you can see it took the tiniest amount of friction there before it actually decided to get above it. So all of that looks good. Yeah, I mean, all of this looks very, very serviceable. The scores themselves aren't going to be great because of the damage that is being repaired, but from the inside out, like on the hourly charts, these things are max bull. Let's go to HYG. I use HYG as a proxy for risk. So what it is just junk bonds, and if this is going up, then the rallies in equities are a lot more trustworthy, and vice versa if it's going down. And here on HYG, improvement, nothing major. Again, the scores here are somewhat mediocre. But it really, with HYG, as long as you don't have sell signals, this can trade. If this trades sideways, I think it's bullish for stocks. If this trades up, I think it's really bullish for stocks. This would have to, and even frankly, if it trades down just a little bit, I think it would still be fine. The only way that this is bearish for stocks is if this like really decides to break lower, probably below 78.5, 78. So in this exact position here on HYG, we can just kind of defer to the labels. And as long as that label is green, then I would certainly err on the side of being bullish. So again, we're looking at all this stuff just to see if there's anything hiding somewhere under the bed that might overwhelm the bullish signals from the indexes. And so far, we are not seeing any of that. So if we go over here to VIX, you guys remember VIX at 55 and 60? I remember. So VIX traditionally gets smacked on Fridays, and today is no exception. We're now back down to a 17 on the VIX. I'm not really seeing anything here. No signs of life whatsoever on the VIX. Made a new low on the week. Closed below all support. No real signs of life here on the VIX at all. So VIX, of course, comes to life pretty quickly, but I don't see it here quite just yet. It would have to get back above 18 in order to become a problem. I do see a positive divergence on the VIX, but that unto itself is not an issue, but it is just the tiniest little thing to nitpick. Let's look at the VVIX. VVIX will lead the VIX. So here you'll note that the VVIX actually closed green on the day, which is not what I would expect. The weekly candle here on the VVIX is also slightly not as bearish as the candle on the VIX itself, which again kind of raises my antennas a little bit, but this doesn't on its own overwhelm the number of signals that we've looked at. So this is something I'll keep an eye on going into next week. I do have a buy thrust signal here on the VVIX on the hourly chart, as well as some positive crossovers. So this is kind of like the tiniest little thing that I'm seeing that might be just a little bit of an issue. Really, I'll just kind of shoot straight with you. Where I'm seeing, the only place that I'm really seeing a potential issue is that in the small time frames, like the hourly, which I'll pull up here on the right-hand side, you are pretty much like as extreme as I've ever seen this indicator get. So the lower indicator is what I want you to take a look at here on the right-hand side. And of course on the hourly SPX, it's just, it's gorgeous. You're not even coming into the cloud. It's so strong. If you trace in the cloud, you don't even come into the cloud. That's real strength. And if you look at the consolidations are super tight. No pullbacks. You don't even have to sweat if you're bullish, right? So it's been very, very easy to be bullish here. But one thing I would point out is that the lower indicator now has a score of 99.2 out of 100. 99.2 out of 100. I think I've seen a higher value, but it's almost impossible to get higher than this, right? It's impossible to get to 100. I've never seen 100. So 99.2 is pretty much as high as this gets. So what does this mean? Does this mean it has to pull back? It actually doesn't. But basically what it means is one of two things. Either A, it has to continue to accelerate, right? Because it's running fast and fast and fast. And so it's got to keep running at that speed or faster, right? Or it actually has to pull back and consolidate, right? So that's kind of the interpretation. It's very binary. Either A, you'll gap up another 50 on Monday and just keep going, or B, it will actually have to pull back, right? It's extraordinarily difficult to keep a 99 out of 100, 99.2 to be exact, out of 100 on this indicator without doing one of those two things. So this is actually the only, well, I guess the VVIX kind of slight issue that I see with it. But even this one, it's a case of too good, right? So it's not even a bad issue, because if you look at the score, it's a max bull. But it's a matter of, is it too bullish, in the short term? And we'll have to come in on Monday and see, right? We'll have to come in and see. But overall, everything that I'm seeing in the indexes looks great. I would imagine a lot of folks are basically assuming we're going to get to new all-time highs. The way the market's trading, the fact that it doesn't pull back at all, even intraday, of any actual significance, makes it seem that way, that it will just perpetually go forever. So we'll keep an eye on it, right? For now, I would have no reason to doubt that. I don't see a reason in this exact moment that we can't make a new all-time high, given the total picture of everything that we're looking at. But we'll just check in every Friday and see how it's going and adjust from there. So going into next week, we'll see if the momentum can persist. Typically with this signal that I just showed you down here, where it's 99.2 out of 100 with an extreme reading like this, unto itself it's not a sell signal, but it would be a signal, at least for me, if I were trading something long, to move up my stops, right? I would have a pretty tight stop here. I don't see a ton of reason to have wide stops when you have such an extreme reading on this indicator. So real quick, for those of you in the room and for those of you on the YouTube, I don't know if you saw this, but our good friend TG had a little bit of a good month so far. He was able to turn $46,000 into $719,000 in 1 month. And if I count on my fingers and toes how much that is, the total it's a lot. Not only that, but he did it with a massive percentage gain. And this, as a trader, should really be what catches your attention, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Going from 46 to 719, that's good stuff. But the percentage gain here is that's really eye-popping. That might be the highest percentage gain in 1 month of anyone at Simpler Trading in my entire time being here, and that includes John Carter. So, wanted to take a moment here to shout out TG. For those of you that aren't following him on the Twitter, you can see his handle right there at TG_ProfitPilot. And also, for those of you that are interested in following TG and potentially catching a piece of this, follow the hot hand, potentially catching a piece of this, check him out in his Moxie Mastery. So you can go on the Simpler Trading website, go to a trial for Moxie Mastery. It's $7 for a month. Wildly mispriced. As options traders, we're always looking for mispriced things. And I would tell you right now that a $7 trial for 30 days for the Moxie Room is mispriced like crazy. So if you haven't had a chance to watch TG or check out his stuff, definitely check out the Moxie Trader. Sign up for a trial, $7, and let the Profit Pilot show you the way, at least for now. All right, guys. Well, that is my time. One last thing that I will say. Hopefully, you don't mind a little bit of a double shilling here. I never show you guys anything, but I'll just tell you what we got. So this one takes care of itself. TG. This is bananas. So if you're watching this, TG, congratulations. For those of you that are not following him, again, go follow him, TG_ProfitPilot on Twitter. Give that man his flowers. He deserves it. He's earned it. And then also, we're going to have a sale on all the indicators as well. So this is going to go on through the 27th of May. And if you are interested in the indicators that I show you here every Friday, and you can see for yourself, how wonderfully they work, then check them out. I'll include a link as well as a discount code in the video description below. So if you're interested in the indicators this week or next week, right? Check them out and see if you're interested. Check out the link below, and it will be available for a 20% discount up until May 27th. So we all like a discount, so you'll have until May 27th to get it. Alright guys, and that's my time. So if you're watching this on the YouTube, drop us a like, drop us a comment. There'll be a second video coming out as well from, again, Mr. TG himself. So check out the secondary video that'll be out this Friday or today. And I will catch you guys back in this video next Friday. Have a great weekend, guys. See you then. Cheers.